Good evening, I'm Louisa Alvarez. Thank you for being with us. Thunder Bay City Council will receive updates on the city budget, as well as local efforts to reduce poverty at tomorrow night's meeting of City Council. Thunder Bay's Finance Department will present its third quarter budget variance report to Council Monday. The city was running at a surplus of $347,000. City accountants reported back in July. However, it's not clear if city and police budgets could be affected by the large number of water rescues city's police have responded to so far this year. Meanwhile, the Lakehead Social Planning Council is also expected to update council on local poverty reduction efforts. The LSPC is the lead agency for the city poverty reduction strategy and will deliver its annual report tomorrow night. Ontario's Environmental Commissioner is blasting provincial governments, both current and past, for failing to protect First Nations communities. This past week, Diane Sachs released her report on the issue. It touches on several environmental catastrophes, including the mercury contamination affecting the Grassy Narrows First Nation. Adam Riley reports.
Both governments and business have long turned a blind eye to pollution of Indigenous communities.
Ontario's environmental watchdog is pulling no punches when it comes to her assessment of how the province has handled environmental and health catastrophes like the one affecting the residents of two First Nations communities along the English Wabigoon River systems.
Grassy Narrows and Wabigoon First Nation communities northwest of Dryden have suffered the devastating effects of mercury poisoning. In the most recent study, over 58% of Grassy Narrows and Wabigoon residents examined were diagnosed with or suspected of having Minamata disease. Minamata disease is a serious neurological syndrome caused by mercury poisoning.
The source of the mercury contamination in those communities has been determined to be the result of the bleaching practice at the then pulp and paper mill in Dryden during the 1960s and 70s. Sachs acknowledges the responsibility for water infrastructure in First Nations communities lies primarily with the federal government, but says the province also has a role to play.
But the Government of Ontario can and should help by protecting their water sources and by providing more technical expertise and training.
Sachs also acknowledges the recent $85 million commitment by the province to remediate the mercury issues in the river systems. In her report, Sachs also mentioned the issues surrounding safe drinking water in First Nations communities. At her agency's last count, 36 communities have been under a drinking water advisory for more than a year. 17 of those have been under it for a decade. Adam Riley, TBT News.
As the season changes, construction season rears to a close. With the grounds already getting covered in snow, the pressure is on to finish a number of roadwork projects on the go in Thunder Bay. Corey Nordstrom has the update.
Closed road signs can be seen throughout the city as construction crews look at completing roadwork before it's too late. Multiple streets have been shut down and tore up, causing residents to park in a construction area or on another street. Director of Engineering for the city, Kayla Dixon, tells us if there is any extra effort being put in to make sure this job is done on time.
We certainly are working with our contractors to prioritize the work that is remaining. We would look at getting arterials and collectors completed for this year, and if we need to get the top lift of asphalt done in our residential areas for next year.
The three residential roads the city is focusing their efforts on are Egan, Banning, and Black Bay. Dixon says the section of road on Egan Street is expected to be drivable by mid-November, barring an extremely docile month weather-wise. The top of the road will be paved next year when the weather is warmer. Banning Street is in the same situation as crews continue to put in those extra days to get the roadwork completed on schedule. Black Bay Road will also have a hard surface for drivers this winter, with the final layer being completed in the spring. Dixon says they never expected Black Bay to be fully completed this year. Though not all of the construction projects are ongoing, many roads were recently completed in the southern area of the city.
We've had a bunch of streets that have been paved just recently over the last couple of weeks, certainly in the McKellar area, as well as Ford Street was done recently, and through McGill. So there is some streets that have just been finished recently.
Dixon says the final layers will be completed when the weather is consistently at 7 degrees. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce is providing support for businesses getting ready for Ontario's minimum wage increase and other changes that will affect them once Bill 148 comes into effect in the new year. Also known as the Fair Workplaces Better Jobs Act, Bill 148 calls for a phase increase to Ontario's minimum wage workers. However, the bill also includes many other changes to employee rights in the workplace. Small business owners will now also need to contend with new rules regarding employee scheduling, vacation time, overtime, and personal emergency leave. To help businesses cope, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce worked with consulting company MNP to develop a handbook for affected businesses. The handbook puts the focus on employers and the role they have in making sure everyone is aware of the changes caused by Bill 148 that will soon come into effect.
Making sure you've got the processes in place to notify your employees of any changes that impact them, those kinds of things, memos, reviewing it during your performance reviews, making sure that everybody understands, making sure that management understands across the organization what's all changing and how we're going to be dealing with those things moving forward.
Robinson says the Chamber is also concerned the province has not provided any information on offsets promised to businesses affected by Bill 148. Copies of the Chamber handbook can be found on the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce website. High school students across Thunder Bay and the region have been getting the chance to learn about potential careers in a hands-on job sector. The kids were given a full-day teaching session about the construction industry and the benefits of working in that field. Ryan Benazzo has more.
The Ontario Construction Careers Alliance was on a Northern Ontario tour, visiting area high schools to talk to students about a future in the construction field. This was one of 12 schools that the OCCA visited this month in the Northwest. Here at St. Ignatius, the students heard from one of the Alliance's career coordinators, trying to debunk a couple of misconceptions about the construction industry. Grade 9 student Zachary Sharp says they were taught the best ways to join the construction workforce.
If we wanted to go into a construction job, what are the helpful things to either go for on a website, or how to decrease the amount of length of time you should go to school for it, or how long, like university or college, apprenticeships and all that.
Many construction workers are on their second career, and with this program, officials are trying to tell teens that working in the trades is a viable first choice rather than an afterthought. Career coordinator Christina Vanbree says one effective way to pique their interest is with an excavator simulation.
It's something that allows them to retain the information or recall it a little bit better, because it's a lot of information that I'm piling out, and this just gives them that instant recall of, oh yeah, she's the lady that brought in the simulation of an excavator. She was talking about this. So it's a great way of also just showcasing one of the really good viable career options too in our industry.
Studies show that by 2026, there'll be a shortage of 86,000 skilled construction workers in Ontario, something this program hopes to change. Some students say they were persuaded by the presentation and interactive displays to join the construction field when they finish high school.
I've always had a little bit of an interest in construction, but I've never really wanted to pursue it a little bit, but now I do really.
Vanbree also says with this region working to develop tradespeople, she hopes the kids will remember the lessons going forward as they spend more time thinking about their careers. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
Anti-Bullying Week begins November 13th, and the library at St. Francis School recently got a new piece of furniture aimed at addressing the problem. T-Baytel made the donation as part of its T-Baytel for Good campaign. It's called a friendship bench. T-Baytel staff, several of whom have children at the school, were there for the unveiling. The presentation was made by T-Baytel's marketing director, Amy Menier, who assembled the bench with her co-workers. Principal Shelley Taylor says the bench is part of the school's anti-bullying campaign, but she prefers the term pro-friendship.
The message is, let's try to be a good friend, let's show respect, let's show random acts of kindness, and I just feel moving close to Anti-Bullying Week, we're taking the other approach that let's be positive about this.
It really is around the theme of pro-friendship, helping students feel like they have a friend no matter what, and it's about inclusivity in working together, and we felt that was a very important message. We have a lot of friends within the community, and that was something that we wanted to promote.
The bench will stay in the library until the weather warms up in the spring, when it will be installed permanently on the playground. The Thunder Bay Police Services and Zone Watch were doing their part this Halloween. They hosted a Halloween safety display to remind everyone of how to stay safe while trick-or-treating. Along with that, a winter coat drive also took place at the police station. An event was held Sunday where the community was invited to the Balmoral Street Police Station to see their safety display and ask officers any questions they had about staying safe. It was a huge draw for families as kids got to check out a police cruiser, pick up Halloween treat bag, and grab some candy to fill it. Constable Julie Tilbury with the Thunder Bay Police says though most people have heard the safety tips countless times, this event served as a reminder for people before getting excited for the upcoming holiday.
I think everyone knows what the safety tips are, but at this time of year, people get a little bit more excited. So sometimes just a gentle reminder is a great thing to do. And coming out in environments such as this, where everybody is relaxed, having a little bit of fun, allows for the community to interact with the police and our great volunteers and ask those questions that maybe they wouldn't ask or have the opportunity to ask.
The event served another function as it was paired with a winter coat drive through the police and Zone Watch, which saw dozens of bags worth of winter clothing dropped off for those in need. Well, I think it's definitely a good idea to remind people about the safeties, you know, make sure there's no needles in your lollipops. Isn't that what happens in the movies?
On occasion. And if those decorations weren't scary enough for you, I've got something else to get your heart racing, especially if you're a baseball fan. We'll have